Hi, my name is Mike Rugnetta. I am the writer and host of the PBS Idea channel, and today we are going to talk about finding and engaging with your biggest fans.
On our channel, we have one set which is about bar bets that you can sort of easily win some money using little tricks. Another set of videos that are about illusions, and those are quite different audiences. And so just being able to say to people, if you like the illusion stuff, here's some more of it, and if you like the bar bet, here's some more of that. You know, it's that straightforward, a very simple organization, I think. Keep it simple for people.
Plan out a regular schedule of content. People need to know when they can come back to your channel and find new content, exciting things to engage with. If you have a big burst of content and then months where you don't post anything at all, and then another burst of content, you might get the casual viewer, but you're not necessarily going to be building that subscriber base because people need to have a reason to be coming back to your channel.
Sometimes I can usually tell because I'll ask a question or do some kind of communication or call to action towards the end of the video. And so I'll notice if in a lot of the comments I'm seeing a result to that call to action, that I'll know that people are actually watching through the video and doing that. A mistake I made back in the day, I used to have like subscribe link, annotate here, 5 different videos you should link to. And what happened was I was asking for so much call to action that ended up having nothing happen, because I would go back and check my analytics and see everyone is either not clicking these things or they're actually closing them. So I cut back on some of those annotations and really made it very focused. And I noticed that when I focused and specifically made a call to action to check out a specific video or to subscribe or just something very specific and called it out, I started seeing a higher click-through rate of those annotations or those specific calls to action happening.
You have to make sure that you're communicating with them regularly with consistent content, with like a scheduled day of content. You know, we upload on Wednesdays. It's really important to at least be interacting with them with a new video on a weekly basis.
I think sometimes as a YouTuber there is this feeling that you need to put something out to make sure that your channel is current, that there's always some new content being shown. But I think what's much more important is to make really awesome content, whatever that means to you. Whatever your fans really respond to. You know, for me, it's an epic science experiment, or it's something huge, something that people have never seen before. The more I can do of that, the more of these casual fans will become, you know, fanatics. And that's what I want to see.
For example, we had a Kickstarter campaign running for a new series called Bee and Puppy Cat, and when we announced the series, we uploaded a branding intro and let people know. We kept people up to date, letting them know there's a week left, there's 2 days left, there's 24 hours left to support the Kickstarter. As soon as the project was funded, we let everyone know on our YouTube channel using a branding intro and thanking everyone for their support.
I think what I learned from that first big hit video was you have to know what you want the viewer to do when they finish the video. You don't want them just to look at another video, a related video that might not be your channel. You don't want them to just close the tab or search for another term. You want to make it very clear what their next action step should be. When someone finishes an Improv Everywhere video, I want them to understand not only are there 150 of these videos that have existed over many years, there's also going to be a new one coming out in the next few weeks. You want them to subscribe and you want them to explore your past content.
At the end of every video, you're going to see 3 annotated buttons, one of which is to nominate an educator, another is to nominate an animator, and another is to suggest a lesson. And if you take one of those actions, I think it's, and you provide a nomination or a suggestion, I think it's pretty tempting to come back and see if we acted upon that, and we do 3 times a week.
When people just kind of stumble across my channel, I try to let them know that there is more content, a lot more content actually, to watch, by just letting them know in the video that I have previous videos, whether it's the one before or something that I did fairly recently that I'm really excited about. And sometimes I'll even push back to videos that I did years ago if they pertain to whatever it is I'm talking about. Like if it's a product and I'm saying, I used this 3 years ago, here's the video where I used it. It's really cool because it's like this catalog.
For me personally, I get really bored of doing the same thing over and over again. So if I get bored, I know my audience is going to get bored. And one of my favorite things is talking to them and asking them, hey, what kind of video do you guys want to see me make? And it's the best way to find out what they want to see. They're the ones that are watching. You're the one that is creating for them. So it works out perfectly. A lot of ideas for my videos come from just walking around, seeing everyday things and interacting with people, but also a lot of the ideas come from the audience themselves. They will tell you, hey, it would be really cool if you made a such and such video, and then guess what? You have the ability to make such and such video for them. And it's really cool because it's such a collaborative community.
Then that's when I started making video content on a more regular basis. And once I did that, that's when my channel completely changed from this random guy that does a video every once in a while. No need to subscribe to that because I'll find out somehow, to like, oh, this guy's always making stuff. So let's check in every single week and give him ideas of things that he should talk about. It gets to the point now where I remember back in the day, I would have to like search and think every single day, what's my next video topic gonna be? What news can I talk about? What's the thing? Now it gets to the point where I can actually go onto all my social media networks and there's a bunch of comments from my audience saying, oh, did you hear about this story? You gotta talk about this. Oh, you gotta make a rant about this. Oh, you gotta review this movie. And like, that's really awesome that people know enough about my channel that they even know what to suggest for me to talk about. And you made my life easier, so thank you for that.
If money was no object, my dream YouTube project would be to have 7 days a week of content from the community itself. Like have people submit their ideas for their, 5 to 10 episode, whatever thingy, and then I'd pay them and help get it made and help get it distributed. And that would just kind of rotate throughout the year. It would just kind of be like, Harto seal of approval, this is the kind of funny comedy I like. Or this is 45 seconds of a hummingbird at a feeder. I really like that too. It was submitted. And then I could pay people for it. I think that would be really great.
Yesterday, a guy tweeted me this confusing problem about how the moon looks during the day, and I was like, what? And I looked at the moon yesterday, and I was like, he's totally right. This is freaking me out. And now I want to talk about that in an episode.
And I think that stems from the fact that I'm so grateful to be in the position I'm in. I'm so happy to have a community that I respect. I'm so happy that I get to make things I want to make for a living, and I just want to share that around. It's a wonderful feeling. I wish everybody could feel this way. So if I had all the money in the world, it would just be that. It would be like Harto University. What do you want to make? Submit your projects, pick one, boobity boop boop boo. Wah. Man, I think I just found my new life goal.
While we were in Ukraine, we saw a lot of comments asking us to go to Venezuela and see what was happening there at the same time. So we very quickly had a crew on a flight and we started reporting from Venezuela during the protests there as well. So, it's making sure that we stay really committed to telling the stories that we're following, and it's also making sure that you're always listening to your audience and taking into account everything that they're bringing to the table.
So I do this show called IJ Likes where people send me cool videos. So if I like them, I will feature them in an episode, which is kind of cool because they could either have millions of views or they could have 100 views. So it's a cool way for people to find fun new videos.
For better or worse, I read every comment that gets posted on every video, and so I have a really good sense of who is always posting comments, because I will always see them. And I think it's a lot of work, but it also gets you really familiarized with your audience, and I think it makes a big difference. I think it's really important for someone to be able to challenge a point, but to not resort to name-calling or negativity. We don't want people who just say, the premise of the episode, again, we want people who say, I agree for these additional interesting reasons, or I disagree for these reasons that you didn't consider. Sort of adding an additional level of understanding, even if they're totally on board. As far as the comments are concerned, it's really hard to prioritize. There's so much material. I think over the last couple years, I figured out what kinds of comments are going to be left. And so it's easy for me to look at a block of text and kind of sense what it is. This sounds really weird. I haven't developed a superpower. It's easy to become overwhelmed by the number of pieces of communication you might receive. If you're getting lots of comments or lots of tweets, it can be hard to figure out how to spend your time, but I think it's kind of about finding a rhythm that it's like, you might wake up in the morning and make coffee and read the newspaper. And I have found over the last couple years that it's helpful for me to just know that there's going to be 20 minutes or half an hour of my day where I read some comments or respond to some tweets.
I think when a channel gets to be a certain size, there are so many comments that it's difficult to respond to everyone. So in those cases, I think it's important to respond to those comments which seem really genuine and they have, for me, a particular scientific question and the question seems to be insightful. If I see a question like that, I know someone has put in the effort to ask the question, then I will put in the effort to answer it. So you don't have to answer every comment. I mean, not every comment is meant to have an answer, but there are some that really look like someone has taken some time and has been thoughtful about it, and in those cases, I definitely make the effort to reply.
I think cultivating positive community is all about starting with positivity. We really wanted to decrease like media studies or art world or whatever you want to call it, snark. So we tried to come at things not being snarky, no irony, very low sarcasm. And I think that sets a standard for the community, that this is how you communicate with them and that is how you would expect them to communicate with each other. And then we found that the community actually starts to self-police, that we'll have people in the comments writing really snarky, really negative comments, and then other members of the community chiming in and saying, hey, that's not how we talk here. If you want to make an argument, you should make a real argument, but if you're just going to be negative, there's a lot of other places on YouTube for you to do that.
I think it's very important to have a positive community, and sometimes you can get some negative comments on YouTube. In those cases, I think it's best to ignore them. But we all know that you shouldn't really feed the trolls, and what you should just really encourage is the growth of a positive community, and they will kind of take care of self-moderating. So they will make sure that those negative comments basically get drowned out in a sea of positive comments. So I think that's the best way to really build a positive community.
For me, the most useful and memorable fan interactions happen in the comments. When we started uploading these videos, I was shocked and delighted to see a YouTube comment section in which people were having a serious discussion about the issues we talked about in the video and not just shouting at each other.
Our decision to highlight comments it was one of the first things that we started talking about. I was really adamant from the very beginning that everything about the show had to revolve around discussion, that every single decision we make had to be about fostering an intelligent and interesting conversation in the comments section. And so in my mind, the final product is not the video that gets uploaded, it's the conversation that happens, 150 pixels below it.
One of the things that we've been keen to explore lately has been Google Plus Hangouts, and actually getting the fans to be on the calls with the artists and actually make them feel like they're really part of that community because they're part of the content.
The Yogscast is built up of memes and catchphrases and things like that we never set out to create. We never sit down and think, what would be a great catchphrase would be to say this or that. We had a weird scenario where back in one of our early videos, Simon, who played a dwarf, started joking about an old dwarven digging song.
I'm a dwarf and I'm digging a hole, diggy diggy hole,
And yet somehow the audience just latched onto it and loved it. Off the back of that, we had a 12 million viewed song that a fan made about diggy diggy hole, turning it more so into a reality. We then since went back and revisited it and created our own song. We've got merchandise off the back of it, and all of it just came from just something that someone said on the spot.
I remember back in 2008, I was looking for a specific word that I can give to my audience so they can associate themselves with something special, not just the viewer. And I said, what can we come up with? What should I say? What should I call you? What is that word we should use? And everyone watched my videos for so many years. They said, what about moosh? And I said, yes. So we started using moosh as a moosh bye, we created a moosh face. Slowly that grew into them calling me a moosh mommy, I call them a moosh army, and then moosh just became this cult, if you wish, word for all of us. And every time, if somebody watches my videos, they know we are part of the moosh army.
Fact Surgery is one of the only shows that I do where actually you involve the audience. So at the end of every episode, I'll be like, what should be next? Tweet me or leave a comment below, and then people leave thousands of comments, and then I feature some of them for whatever console I do next time in the episode. Engaging people are like actually featuring their names in episodes like I do at the end of Fact Surgery. It's empowering. It makes them feel like they helped make the decision. They helped make the video. They were influential, which is really important because they become part of the process, part of the channel.
Cultivating a fan base can be a really Herculean task, and I personally am really resistant to like constant communication, constant promotion, constant like people trying to draw me in. I think when someone reaches out for the first time via Twitter and says, hey, I just started watching the show, I'm a really big fan, I really liked what I've seen so far, I try really hard to reach out to them and welcome them and let them know that, you know, I'm really glad that they have found the show. But I think beyond that, you know, it's you really have to feel it out. Every relationship with every fan is different, and you know that's complicated at 100 subscribers. So it's only going to get more complicated. But I think you develop a sense for what's appropriate.
Outside of YouTube, I usually engage with fans and viewers on Twitter, Facebook. Instagram is my personal favorite. I usually have a number of promotional posts that go up several times a week for my actual YouTube videos. Those are scheduled typically on the day that I release my weekly video, and will go up 3 or 4 days in a row on Facebook and on Google+. And then I usually will have one promotional post on Instagram that links back to the YouTube video. Everything else is pretty much just me tweeting about my personal life and responding to fans. I most of the time interact with people, viewers, on Twitter. It's the easiest one to just like @reply.
Commenting actually helps a lot because you can link your Google+. You know, so I constantly comment on my video every couple of hours at least. I answer a whole bunch of comments, posting it onto other social media networks too. That's always important. So you have to make sure that your subscriber base is always watching your new stuff.
Our fans have helped spread the word about Crash Course through social media and sharing the videos all over the place. And a lot of our viewer interactions, we hear from students saying, I showed this to my teacher and they showed it to the whole class. And that's always really exciting to us when a student can bring something to the teacher that shows how excited they are about learning the subject. We also have a pretty active group of international translators who are volunteering to help translate our videos into other languages. And the enthusiasm of these groups is always overwhelming to me, and it's really exciting to see people wanting to participate in the videos and wanting to share them with other people who share their language.
6 or 9 months later, I was in a bar and a dude came up to me and bought me a drink. And I was so confused about why this person I had never met before decided to spend $6 on me, and it turned out he was a big fan of the show. And that, even to this day, it blows my mind that someone would do that for me for making a thing that I love making anyways. It seems unfair, if I'm being honest.
But as I started posting more videos just to show people that I knew how to edit, my audience started growing, and it was really cool to see this, that I was able to interact with these people. And finally, I got to a point where YouTube was a full-time job.
But I think the first time I got invited to go to a YouTube convention in America called Playlist Live, I was like, wow, this thing is real. I remember there's certain moments like when I got partnered on YouTube, which isn't even a thing anymore. When I got merchandise made, I was like, but then when I got invited to go to a different country because people wanted to see me there, that's when I was like, this is a thing now. This is like normal. I don't know why it's happened, but it has.
As long as the dislike bar is okay, or is not too high, or the like bar is big, whatever you want to say. Yeah.
It's a show called My Drunk Kitchen, and I made it, frankly, just as a joke for a friend. But then I started to see it was getting all this positive feedback and all these comments and people asking for episode 2. Episode 2? I didn't even call it episode 1. But I made another, and then another. And then I realized that I absolutely loved making videos.
Now, at first, a lot of viewers were a little bit like, this is different. It's not as long as usual. I don't see you in it, Michael. I expect your face or I'm unhappy. But at the same time, by being a little bit different, I also had different shaped hooks out there and was able to catch new people. And so I saw that video shared on websites and on podcasts that had never talked about my work before.
We can tell how well our fan engagements are paying off really within the first day of an upload. I mean, honestly, sometimes within the first 6 hours. If we see a big swell of likes and comments, we know that this video has really resonated with the audience, and it's going to go beyond our core subscribers and be shared out with just a bunch of people everywhere.
Knowing that a collab was successful is something that you can tell quite easily. Just by reading comments, you'll get tweets, and when people start interacting with you elsewhere off of YouTube on these other social networks, saying, man, that was such a cool video, thanks so much for taking my suggestion, I think that's when you really know.
What motivates me is really that moment that it gets posted and I see the comments coming in, and it feels really good to have, accomplished that.
The first signs that the channel was growing and becoming more of a success, and that it was becoming more of a goal than TV itself for us, was I think when we hit 10,000 subscribers. That mixed with all positive comments, next to no thumbs down, constant followers, constant, the same people coming back again and again and commenting and excited for the next recipe on Thursday or Saturday. It feels good to have that connection for people enjoying what you're putting out there.
For me, it was two things. Guy getting recognised on the street, and secondly, we did a pop-up restaurant in Bondi last year, and we had fans from Norway, from Japan, and all other places coming to our pop-up restaurant to enjoy our food in the real world, which was kind of mind-blowing.
Some of the things that I look for when I upload a new video to kind of signify whether it's a good video or not is kind of the same thing that I've done the entire time I've been uploading to YouTube over the years, and that's look at the comments, look at the likes and dislikes. People are brutally honest, and sometimes it's harsh to hear negative comments, but at the same time, it's a good idea to listen to your audience and take into consideration what they want to see.
That's one of the moments we really feel like the Crash Course videos are having an effect, when students and teachers and learners are in the comments talking to each other about the issues we've raised in the show.
As my audience grew, and then I kind of started talking to people, and then I kind of got the sense of who I was speaking to, that kind of then just made me even more passionate about it, because I felt like I was, it was like a friendship thing. So, and the more that's grown, the more involved that I want to be. When I get the comments from people saying that, it just makes them feel better, kind of helps them forget their troubles and whatever, because this is really a therapeutic experience for me too. So it's just kind of like at that point, I feel like I'm giving back as much as I'm getting. So that for me is also a measure of success.
Our big measures of success is how much discussion accompanies the topic of the lesson that we publish that day. We always encourage the educators to jump in on the comments, whether it's to show gratitude for praise or to help people understand something that was less than clear, or to add more information and answer questions. The educators constantly report having a great time discussing their topic with the thousands of people that view it on YouTube or on the TED Ed platform.
And I recently started getting more into recipes and sharing cooking videos, because that's what I am getting more into in my actual life, and I really enjoy it. It's really cool to see people making the recipes that I create, because I think that food is such a personal choice. It's what somebody is deciding to put into their body, and I think it's really cool to see people making the things that I put in a video. It's awesome to just see, like, an hour after posting a video, people making something, and I'm always just blown away by how fast people are, and they'll tweet me photos, post them on Facebook, on Instagram. It's just the best.
YouTube's role in future education is as a spark for discussion. These videos that get students excited about a subject and make them go to their teacher and want to talk about physics or talk about history or talk about a book. There's nothing more valuable.
In levels, I'd say a view is at the bottom. I mean, obviously it's important, but that's the first measurable piece of success. So a view, then a like, then a share, then a comment, then going out on social media and finding someone who made the dish and recreated it. That's the top. That's the ultimate measurement of success, because at that point you have changed somebody's behavior, and you have people who are that engaged and that interested in what you're doing, that when you see something 6 hours after you posted it and someone else has already gone and recreated it, there's just something special about that.
I didn't really have a goal. It was very organic experience. I didn't think about uploading it really. I didn't know that I would like to upload it, but I remember thinking, why not? And it just kind of ended up happening that people commented, and I thought it was so strange that people could just react very instantly to something, you know, watch something and be like, hey, this is what I think about it.
As a YouTuber, it's really difficult to continue making videos, and you need that inspiration. And there's so many times I almost quit. But going to events like this and interacting with your fans and seeing how much you really mean to them really brings you back and makes you want to create more content.
Thug Notes had been out for like 4 weeks, and I was feeling like very defeated that it wasn't really catching on. We even had a Huffington Post article, and we were only around like 7,000 views or something like that. And then some angel from heaven posted it on Reddit and ended up getting on the front page, and then it's just been uphill from there. So I don't know who this magical person is, but if it wasn't for him, I mean, the show would probably not be around today.
I check really hard with comments to see if people are watching the video, if they're doing comments about the video. I do a lot of commenting back. I'll do a lot of replies, particularly in those first 24 hours. I try to reply as much as possible to those early adopters, because usually what will happen is they will start to share the video out more to people, and then that gets it really going, especially when you can get people to share your video out at its first launch. So in those first couple of days, it's really helpful because then it gets around and it shows that it has some kind of traction or trending to it.
I think for someone who's just starting out on YouTube, commenting within the platform and engaging within the platform is probably the first most important thing, because people see that you are engaging on the platform when they watch your videos. They'll see that your comment is right there at the top, and they'll know that you're using the platform as a social place, not just as a video creator, and I think that's just really important. On Twitter, they'll absolutely see if you @reply them, because it shows up in their box, unless they have 5 million followers, in which case, lucky you. You just had someone very popular follow you.
What's really surprising is the constant back and forth with our fans and the comments that they leave, the requests that they leave for recipes and stuff.
That real-time connection and information back and forth from the people who are viewing our videos is awesome. It means we can listen to them and cook recipes they want to learn and fine-tune what we do to cater for our audience.
I really love commenting on other videos for a couple of different reasons. Sometimes people will leave comments or tweet me a video saying that they mentioned me and they want me to go watch, so I'll go watch their video, and if they take the time to give me a shout out, I like to comment and thank them and take the time to watch their videos, because I think it's really cool. And also sometimes I'll find amazing people that no one really knows about, so I'll leave comments on their videos and I know that it will show up in my viewers' feeds, and that will get more people to go and watch their videos if they see me going back to that same person consistently. It's just one of the ways that I like to help build the community, because I know when I was first starting out, I would have died to have a YouTuber that I really looked up to, or a YouTuber that was just prominent in this space, leave a comment on one of my videos or like my video, or at the time it was star ratings. That's when I started YouTube. It was that long ago. But it would have just meant so much to me, and I really like to give back and just share the awesome people that are on YouTube, because I don't want people to just only watch me. I want them to be able to experience all of the other people out there, because everybody has something different and cool and unique to bring to the table.
I learned about my audience by really them showing me pictures of the desserts and fun treats that I make, either through social networking, Twitter, Facebook, and definitely in the comments, just responding to me.
A big part of what I'm doing is sharing what's happening, trying to be as even with the delivery, and then sharing my opinion on it. And from there, I think people understand that they're not watching this big guy. They're watching Joe below, who's just trying to have a conversation. And every now it's the internet. You get people that are just angry about anything. The angriest people I've ever gotten, I said Metallica sucked, and I've said a lot worse things, and that was the biggest lashing I've ever gotten. But I think it's just a matter of trying to be as genuine with my audience, not just asking a question to ask a question, not just trying to get my comment count actually up. I think it's just actually caring about the conversation. And that's been a big part.
I love doing Q&As on Twitter. I would go in the middle of the night and say, hey, who is awake? Let's ask questions. And people ask questions and I answer, and that creates a lot of engagement. I always, at least for an hour or two after I upload my video, would respond to comments. Sometimes I go back to one of my favorite videos and see if there's still engagement happening, and I still respond to comments. So it's all about responding to comments and engaging people to leave comments. So at the end of my video, I would always ask a question.
Keep in mind that you can comment on YouTube and you can speak to me over social media to share with me what you're thinking about. A lot of really good questions come through social media, and the same questions get asked a lot. That really helps me figure out what everyone's thinking about.
I can usually tell who my biggest fans are because I'll start recognizing usernames and they will come back and consistently comment on videos over the course of months and sometimes even years. And then also when they move over to different platforms like Twitter, people will make accounts and they'll post my picture as their profile picture and think of like really cute names like Ingrid's Donut because I really love donuts. And I think that is just really cool. And I always try to follow those people and really engage with them even more because they're putting in so much extra effort. So I want to put in that extra effort for them. I think the way to keep your biggest fans happy on YouTube is just to remember to be human and to interact and to not break away from that. Don't get distracted with other things because as you progress, things are gonna get crazy, and you always have to remember that you are in this position for a reason, and it's because of the people watching your videos and who constantly support you and tell their friends about you. And I want to be there for my viewers, and I love interacting with them. That's one of the reasons why I started making YouTube videos, because I enjoyed communicating with not only other creators in the space, but the people who are watching my videos.
I feel like I've been really lucky with my fans. They're so incredibly nice, and via YouTube and Facebook and all this other social media, they're just incredibly kind, and when they've covered my stuff, they do such a great job. I remember finding this cover of Places We Should Be like 3 years ago, and now I kind of sing it that way sometimes because they just have this great way of, you know, it's kind of like how I cover songs and take it and make it sound different. They have this way of making my songs sound different. I see them in a new light and how they interpret them, and it's absolutely amazing. It's so cool. But I think we're pretty real with each other, you know? Like, they ask me questions, I answer back really honestly, and I'm really transparent about who I am, and I just share my like real life experiences through my vlogs and through my posts on Facebook, and I just feel like it's a conversation with friends. And even at shows and stuff, when I've met them and they've told me, oh, I've been watching your stuff for years, I'm like, oh, come give me a hug. Like, I feel like I know you, you know what I mean? So it's cool. I think it's a very real interaction.
There's always a constant influx of comments, tweets, comments on Instagram, on Facebook, and it really is just kind of luck most of the time as far as who I reply to. Just the time of day that I'm looking at the tweets. So normally it'll be the most recent people in my @replies, and in that case it really is just luck when I happen to check everything. But I do follow some people on Twitter as well, like the people who will make accounts for me. So I will get notifications sometimes when they tweet something, and if it's something that I'm really excited about or I think is super cool, I'll definitely reply back to them or retweet them. And if I can't comment back to people, I at least try to like a post or retweet on Twitter. On Instagram, it's actually really easy because I will go into my tagged photos and I'll just go through and a lot of times just like everything that I see because I just want people to know that I'm seeing what they post and I see what they tag me in, and sometimes I'll leave them comments, and it's just really fun. I'll normally do it whenever I have a little break in the day, and I try to do it every single day.
And as always, thanks for watching.